Okay, so we are live.
Uh,
Good evening, everybody from Nigeria, and good morning or afternoon to those who are outside of Nigeria. My name is Emeka Nobis, as you always know, and I love to have conversations with amazing people. And today we are going to be having another conversation this evening with another great guy. And we are going to be looking at how your business can stay compliant, maintaining integrity in business via the CAC. It's no news now that the CAC has listed about 1,000 companies that will be delisted for failure to pay their annual returns. And so a lot of individuals are panicking, even though the government has given them 90 days to be able to run around to make sure that they do their annual returns. But some individuals will definitely receive the hammer. And so today we have with me Solo Onos. We'll be doing justice to understanding how your business can maintain integrity in the face of the law and come with your questions to ask questions on how your business can actually achieve all this. As usual, I usually say that when you join us on live stream, let's know where you're tuning in from. Let's know your city. If you want to write your name, fine. By all means, write your name. And then do two other things. Share the live stream to your timeline so that individuals can join us on this live stream and also participate in the conversation to learn the things that can help their businesses. And then go ahead to invite your friends. Tag them in the comment section. Tell them to come and join the conversation. Tag them. Tag 5, tag 10, tag 20 of your friends to join us in this conversation so that they themselves can also learn what we are learning. All right, so I make welcome Solo Onos, all the way from the city of Ugeli in Delta State of Nigeria. And from there, he's touching the world, and that's where he will be having a conversation with. Solo, welcome.
Thank you so much, Don. Happy, but so excited to be on this platform. It's like something that I've been looking forward to. We would have had this, I think, a few months back. But technicalities did not permit. But today, I think God has decided that it will finally happen. And I think it's coming at a very timely period because of the publication made by the Corporate Affairs Commission just on the 31st of July, where about 94 over 94,000 companies. Companies. Let me emphasize that just these are just companies. We have other entities, or let me say business name registrations or enterprise as we call them. They are not listed in that list. If you add the defaulters from the side of enterprise, it's going to be massive, more than that. And again, if you look at the publication that CSC published July 31st, you discover that the range of the year is just from, I think, 1985 to 1991. So they've not come closer to a timeline where many businesses today are having their business registered. But you look at it, between 1985 to 1991, over 94,000 companies defaulting on something that is demanded by the law. It tells you how serious the matter is. I've been introduced. My name is Onos. I'm a business support provider. I emphasize on registration of businesses and organizations with Corporate Affairs Commission. My team and I have registered over 2,000 uh, businesses and organizations with CAC. But today I want to focus more on the issue of filing of annual returns, especially with the fact that it has a lot to do with the integrity of either your business, church, foundation, school, whatever organization that is registered under CAC. You see, many a times people talk about CAC, but they don't talk about annual returns. And I think for some reasons, you are having situations where those that even have their CAC certificate for years are hearing of annual returns only when it is demanded from them, perhaps as a matter of emergency or urgency, like the situation we have now. There are people who own companies registered with CAC that have their companies listed to be stricken off in the next 90 days if they don't comply, yet they've never heard of annual returns. They don't even know that something like that exists. So I think that one of the major reasons why we have this defaulting is because of ignorance. Many people are, many company owners, business owners, organization owners, they do not understand the importance of annual returns. They don't even know that something like that exists, that is something that is demanded from them, something that is required of them. So what I'm going to do in the next few minutes is talk about it. Then we can all see how filing of annual returns can be of benefit to the building of our business brand. Firstly, any person that registers his or her business and organization with CAC has a reason for doing that. The reasons might be diverse. Some persons do that because they want to open a bank account. Some persons do that because they want to build a brand that is going to transcend generations. You have people that have huge business vision. They want to have transgenerational corporations. And because of that, one of the steps they take is to register a company or register a business. Now, that is very good because when you do that, you tend to secure that name for your use. If it's a company, it becomes an entity of its own that can help you facilitate so many things that's needed in business. For instance, entering of contracts, buying of properties in the name of the business and stuff like that. But it does not end there. It does not end there. Annual returns is a demand attached to every business or organization that registers with CAC. It is a legal demand. It is a legal demand. So it is something that must be done. So if you are building a business that you want to last through generations, you should be concerned with the things that are demanded to see to it that your registration with the regulatory body, which is CAC in this case, is preserved. So the very fact that you have taken it upon yourself to register your business with CAC means that filing of annual returns should be something very important to you as well. That's the point I'm trying to make. So if CAC registration is important to you, then filing of annual returns should equally be important to you. All right, so I'm going to talk about, I'll try to strategize 4 points that outlines the importance of CAC filing of annual returns. Before I go ahead, let me state something. Filing of annual returns is not the same thing as payment of tax because many people get to mix it up. They think when you're talking about filing of annual returns, you are referring to payment of tax. No, they are two different things. When you want to pay tax, you pay to the tax authorities, either to the Federal Inland Revenue Service, which is the tax authority at the federal level, or to the state's Board of Internal Revenue Services in whatsoever state you are. Those are the bodies authorized by government to receive payment of tax. Filing of annual returns is different. And filing of annual returns is simply a mandatory requirement by CAC, whereby it's like you are telling CAC that, yes, I've registered my business with you, I've registered my organization with you, CAC. After a year, I am still existing. This business is still running. This business is still functioning. This business is still operational. And I am telling you, CAC, that my business is being operational by filing my annual returns. That is what it means. It is you telling CAC that you are still interested in having that registration you did maintained on the CAC register. That is what it means to file annual returns. So filing of annual returns is not payment of tax. It's simply you preserving your existence on the CAC register. Now, let me go ahead to say something. The CAC, that is the Corporate Affairs Commission, they are the government body that is authorized to register any business, company, or organization in the country. And by means of that, it's like, let me exemplify it like this. If you have a business and you rent a place, let me a plaza, you rent a store. After renting the store, a year goes by. The landlord is expecting you to come and renew your rent. If the renewal of the rent is not you're no longer interested in occupying that property or that place. That is the meaning of filing of annual returns. So when the landlord does not hear from you after a year, after the year, which is the due year for you to renew, he waits for a month, he waits for 2 months. The next thing that happens is he might just serve you a quick notice. Please leave. In most cases, there are some landlords will just tell you somebody else wants to take the place. In fact, the person has already paid. There are instances like that. So that example I'm just giving is for you to understand how annual returns work. If you fail to file your annual returns, you are telling CAC that you are no longer interested on being on the CAC register. That is what it means. That is the interpretation. That's the feedback that CAC gets. So when that happens, the next thing is that CAC deactivates your profile on the register, and we'll come to that. So I said I was going to put it in 4 points. The importance of filing of annual returns. I'm going to put it in 4 points. The first point I want to talk about is, pardon me, I'll be looking at my jotter here. Complying with the law. I've mentioned it before that it is mandatory. It is a demand by the law. So one major reason why you should file, your business or organization should file annual returns, is that you, as a law-abiding citizen or a business owner, you want to comply with the demands of the law. Let me add something here. Do you know that churches that register with CAC are also expected to file their annual returns? Many don't know. Many pastors or general overseers or founder of church or churches or trustees of churches, many of them don't even know that something like that exists. But if you go on the CAC register, the name is there. And when it's there, it will show either 2 things on the status of this registration, the registration that has been done, pardon me. It will either show active status or inactive status. Those are the 2 things. Now, the reason why it's showing inactive status is that you have been penalized. And why are you penalized? You have not complied with the demand of the law. You have not complied. Once you have not complied, there's a penalty. And one of the penalties that CAC gives is that they immediately ensure that your status on the CAC register changes from active. And please let me also add, when the search is done on the CAC register, the active status carries a green bar. It carries a green bar. While when the status is inactive, it carries a red bar. That red bar also already tells you something. It's like a red flag. So complying with the law, firstly, is the first point of call there. You want to comply with the law concerning the running of your business. And that is one reason why you want to file your annual returns. So that is the first point, complying with the law. The second reason why you should file your annual returns is because you want to maintain the integrity of your business brand. The integrity of your business brand, especially today where we are having businesses that transcend borders. You can be in Lokoja and your customer base or customer patronage is coming from Port Harcourt. You can be in Taraba State and you are having a contract with a company or with a parastatal that you have not had any physical contact with. You send in your proposal online, they look at it, they look at what you are offering, and they see that, yes, you are giving them a good proposal. The next thing that happens, they go to the CAC portal to check, is this business registered? Is this company registered? How long has it been registered for? Now, imagine it. Most times we fail to prepare for certain things. Imagine somebody that has been praying for a breakthrough in his business and is looking unto God for a contract. He has gone to church, he has prayed, he has fasted, and God has answered that prayer. The contract comes, and the company is saying, before we finalize, we will just want to do a little background check on you. Only for them to go to the CAC portal and discover that your status is showing inactive with a red bar. What do you think will be the feedback? The first thing is that red bar is going to be a red flag, questioning the integrity of your business. You want a contract for a business that is not operational, because CAC placing your business on an inactive status is simply telling the public, and please take note, that portal of the CAC is a public portal. If you go to that website now, it is open to everybody to see. search.cac.gov.ng. Anybody can check on it and check up your business or your company. So if that happens and they discover that your business or your company is inactive, what is the feedback that is going on? You are going to have? In most cases, you will lose that contract. What if that contract is the contract that was supposed to give you your breakthrough? What if it was that contract that is supposed to set you up or set up that business for posterity? You see, so that is a huge problem. I was checking on a popular Guinness World Record holder, Hilda Bassi. You can do the check yourself. If you go to the search portal of CAC, as I spelled out, search.cac.gov.ng, and type in "My Food" by Hilda, you will discover that as part of her preparation for the Guinness World Record, she ensured that her business stayed active. That is how we know a business person that has foresight and is ready to maintain the integrity of his business brand. So if you check, you see Hilda Bassi's business, My Food by Hilda, stays active on the CAC portal. She filed her annual returns. If she did not file her annual returns, there is no how that business will be active by now. So because she knows what is coming, she prepared herself. And one of such preparation was to maintain the integrity of the business brand she's trying to promote to the world. So that's point two. Because of time, I'm going to speed up a little. Let me add that when your status on the CAC portal is reflecting inactive, it tells the public that you cannot be trusted. It's the blunt truth. You cannot be trusted. It might not be intentional, because just as I said at the beginning of this session, there are many businesses and organizations that don't even know that filing of annual returns is a demand. So it might not be intentional. However, for those that know, for businesses or companies, for top corporations, organizations, international organizations that know, the feedback they get when they do a search on your business on CAC portal and discover that it's inactive, the feedback they get, the interpretation they give to it is, if the status is inactive, this business cannot be trusted. This organization cannot be trusted. Something perhaps is missing, or maybe something has gone wrong somewhere. So it is that important. It is that important. Let me add, do not make the mistake of trying to use a business that has an inactive status on the CAC portal to apply for a visa in the embassy. Please don't. Please don't. Don't make that mistake. Don't make that mistake. If that mistake happens, your visa will be refused. It will be denied. Why? Immediately you submit your documents to the embassy, whether the American embassy, British embassy, or what have you, the first thing they do when they see that it's a business person that is coming and is presenting documents, the first thing they do is that they check the CAC portal to see if the business or the company is registered. When they do that, if the status shows inactive, just as I said, you cannot be trusted. That business cannot be trusted. That visa will be denied. Funny enough, in the case of these embassies, 100% of the time, that visa will be denied. I was in a WhatsApp group recently, and we had live cases where people were warned, do not use a business that has an inactive status to apply for a visa. It will be denied. So just as I said, that visa refusal is coming because that business cannot be trusted. It is assumed that the business you are using to want to sponsor yourself abroad is not operational. Perhaps that business has even packed up. That is the interpretation. So if you are going to maintain your business brand, after registering your business or your organization with CAC, you have to file your annual returns. Let me go to the third point. The third point I will talk, it says keeping your business preserved on the CAC register. Another reason why you must file annual returns is this. Registration of a business or an organization on CAC is not eternal. Let me repeat that. It is not eternal. It is not an everlasting transaction. Once registered, always registered. No, that's the reality of it. It doesn't work like that. Once registered is not always registered. Once registered is not always registered. Why do I say so? CAC has the right to strike off any business that fails to file its annual returns to the tune of 10 years. If you have not paid or filed your annual returns for 10 years, CAC can delist that business or that organization from the CAC register. So you just wake up one morning and you go on the search portal of CAC, you type in your business name, it will show that there's no company of such found. And you'll be asking, maybe at that time you will need to call your whoever helped you providing the service, that what happened? We can't find my business name on the CAC portal. What happened? I'm just explaining to you what could have transpired. Once you fail to file your annual returns, your CAC registration can be delisted. Now, that brings us back to the publication that CAC made nationwide on the 31st of July 2023, where they listed over 94,000 companies. 94,000 companies. And a deadline of 90 days were given to these over 94,000 companies to file their annual returns or have their businesses or companies struck off from the CAC register. They will be struck off from the CAC register. As a matter of fact, I think in my own experience handling CAC related issues, there are some businesses that have already been stricken off without any prior notice, because I've had such cases. As a matter of fact, it's not about, I had one today. A client reached out to me to process a tax identification number. So of course, we had to validate the registration on the CAC portal. We checked. Lo and behold, the business is nowhere to be found on the CAC register. It has been stricken off. It's not on the CAC register anymore. Why? It's most likely that that business, because if I remember correctly, I think that business was registered 2009. I think 2009. Sorry, 1999. 1999. The business was registered 1999, and I suspect that they have not filed annual returns from 1999 to date. That is the reason why CAC have delisted that particular business from the register. So it's no longer what the issue now is no longer registering for tax identification number or whatever. Firstly, the challenge that business person has now is how to see that her business is relisted on the portal. So these are challenges that we don't want to face as business people. We already have a lot. The business terrain, the business environment in Nigeria is tough enough. We should not be piling up challenges for ourselves. So, and I want to state that these challenges are challenges that are avoidable. That's another reason why we are giving out this information. There are things that can be avoided, easily avoided. It's just that the information is not so much out there. So as I said on the third point, another importance of filing annual returns is to preserve your existence on the CAC register, because if you fail to file your annual returns, CAC can delist, strike off your business or your organization from the register, just as it's going to happen to these listed people that was published on July 31st. If they don't file their annual returns till date, in the next 90 days, then they will say goodbye to their registration. And I think for these persons, they might not have the opportunity to be relisted. It is gone, it is gone. So I will quickly go to the fourth point. The fourth point is that when we file our annual returns, one major benefit is that it saves a lot of cost. Now, let me state here, if you file your annual returns before the deadline, there's a deadline of June 30th every year, when it's like the default deadline. If you have not filed for the previous year, then if your status was active on the CAC portal, it becomes inactive. Now, when you pay your annual returns before the deadline, you are able to save some money. You are able to save not some money, a lot of money. Why I say this? The cost of filing annual returns. Okay, let's take for business name and company. For business name is about, let's say, around 4,000 naira that is paid to CAC, exclusive of service charges, of course. Whosoever is going to provide the service for you will charge you. So the same thing happens with company. I think for a company, it's over about 6,000 naira. Now, if you default, you pay an extra fine of 5,000 naira per year. Now, so money might sound, some persons might say, the money is small now. Is that why we are disturbing ourselves? Well, somebody reached out to me recently, and by the time we did the calculation of the charges, I think the person was owing about 10 years. 10 years. 10 years multiplied by about 9,000 is already 90,000. Then, if you do that math, the service charge, I don't want to disclose what was my service charge. But believe you me, by the time my service charge was added to it, it was close to 170,000 naira. Now, this is something that the person would have easily paid, perhaps maybe give and take plus charges and all of that. He might not spend up to 10,000 naira, probably. Perhaps if the service charge is not high. 10,000 naira in a year. Rather, you pile it up. So you see, you save a lot of money. You save a lot of money. Then apart from saving a lot of money, what about the damage done? I was making reference to an issue of somebody that bid for a contract. The company went to do a background check on the CAC portal and discovered that that status was inactive. And because of that, the contract was refused to that business person. The profit that would have been made in that contract definitely is perhaps maybe 1,000,000 times, 1,000,000 times more than the amount that that person would have paid annually as annual returns. So it doesn't make any profit, it doesn't make any sense defaulting on paying your annual returns. As a matter of fact, it will cost you more. It will cost you more in money, it will cost you more in your integrity, in the integrity of your business, it will cost you more in your connections. If, for instance, you are to make any changes in the details of your CAC registration, you cannot do that without having an active status on the CAC portal. It means that, let's say, for instance, you have a foundation or an association. If you have an association and is registered with CAC, it is an incorporated trustee registered with CAC. And you know, for associations, after a period of time, you might want to have what we call change of executives. Maybe the tenure of the executives for 2 years, 4 years. Then the association want to elect new executives and stuff like that. If the election of the new executive has been done, normally there should be a change of trustees. There should be a change of trustees. Why must there be a change of trustees? Because of the signatories to the bank account of that association. So there have to be a change of trustees. If you are going to change the trustees also have to change on your CAC registration. If your annual returns, if you are defaulting on the payment of annual returns, you cannot do those changes. Such changes cannot be effected. And of course, if you have defaulted, you will pay the penalty. You pay the penalty. So to do changes, what we call post-incorporation services, to have any such post-incorporation services, you ought to file your annual returns first. Now, the point I'm making is this: if you pile it up till when, as most people do, till when it is necessary, you will discover that at the end of the day, you have piled up monies that might be too burdensome for you at that point that it is needed. At that point that it is needed. I had a client like that, although thank God that she had some deep pockets. By the time we calculated what she needed to pay for the filing of her annual returns, it was close to about, I think, 280,000 naira. And she needed the status of the business to be activated as soon as possible. Why? She was applying for a visa. You know now, the jackpot thing. So she was applying for a visa, and she didn't even disclose it to me, but I knew, because we handled a lot of cases like this. They tend to wait till when it is super important, super demanded. before they decide that, okay, let's these annual returns, like, how do we do it? No, it shouldn't be like that. Save yourself that stress, save yourself the cost, save yourself the challenge, save yourself the integrity. I was going through a particular church, and I was really impressed by something I saw. The church was registered with CAC in 1945. I think I'm going to place the screenshot. 1945. Their annual returns have been filed up to date. Their annual returns have been filed up to date. 1945. I believe that's an organization that knows the importance of filing of annual returns. 1945. How many years? That's even before Nigeria's independence. But if you check the CAC portal on that particular church, their annual returns is filed up to date. I believe that they didn't want to fall into these kind of challenges. They didn't want to have a situation where their integrity will be questioned, especially as a religious organization. They didn't want to have a situation where maybe they need to do a change in leadership or change in details of their registration, and they will now need to start paying penalties when it could be avoided. So filing of annual returns is very, very essential. I just mentioned about 4 points. I'll just go through, recap on them again. The first one, I said that filing of annual returns, it helps your business and organization to comply with the law. It also helps your business and organization to maintain the integrity of their brand, whether it's a business, whether it's an organization, an association, a church, a company. It helps to maintain the integrity of their brand. It helps them to tell the world, the public, that their business is still operational. It's not just registered on CAC portal. It is operational. It is functional. They are legit. You understand? The third point we talked about, I said it helps to preserve the registration of that business on the CAC portal. So you do not wake up one morning and discover that your business has gone missing. Your business name or your company name has gone missing on the CAC register. And that could be a death trap, as I stated earlier. It could be a death trap because that search could be done at a time that might be so crucial to the existence or the survival of your business or organization. So it's a gamble you don't want to take, whereby imagine a company or a background check is done on you and it's not your business that you claim to be registered. You've even submitted CAC certificates to the people, to the company or to the organization. Then they do a check and discover that it's not there. That is a death trap that you want to avoid. Then the fourth point, I said that it helps to save a lot of cost, monetary cost, the stress, the challenge. It helps to save the integrity of your business and organization as well. So at this point, I want to take questions from any person that perhaps I want to throw a question or two into it. And I also want to thank the Don for this opportunity.
Thank you so much, Onos. And I want to ask a question. This
Okay,
annual
sir.
returns that people do, is it fixed for companies or what? How do we get to pay?
Okay. The amount is fixed. Remember, it is not tax. If it's tax, the tax man will be looking at your records, financial records, accounting stuff, and do some calculation. But for filing of annual returns, the amount is fixed. That's why I went ahead to talk about how much is paid to CAC. What is paid to CAC annually for companies is about 6,000 naira. It's about 6,000 naira. So that's what is paid to CAC. That is, if you add the bank charges that is added to it, that will be 5,000. It's about 6,000 naira. So as before, you talk about the service charge of the service provider. So it's fixed for companies. It's fixed for companies. So
So a company that was incorporated in 2020, and this is 2023, we have to pay 18,000, right?
a company that was registered 2020. Now, there is a way it's calculated for companies. There's a way it's calculated. That is where consultation comes in. So for, let me say, for the company of 2020, I think for my calculations, if I'm not mistaken, you should be paying just 2 years. Because we are in 2023 now. I think that should be due, the company should be due for filing of annual return for 2021 and 2022.
Sorry, you went off. It went off a bit.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. So I was saying that for a company registered in 2020, a company registered in 2020 should have its annual returns due. If it has not paid any annual returns, it should have annual returns due for 2 years. For my calculation, if I'm not mistaken, it should be for 2 years. I think that should be for 2021 or 2022. So because the company has defaulted, the amount it's going to be paying will be around 9,000 naira. Sorry, pardon me. If it's a limited, let me be more specific. If it's a limited liability company, it will be paying around 11,000 naira or thereabout. 5,000 naira, which is the exact amount supposed to pay if it did not default, if the company did not default, then an extra penalty fee of 5,000 naira. Then some bank charges added to it to bring it to like 11,000 per year. Now, that, as I said earlier, is exclusive of service charge. It's exclusive of service charge. So the service provider might decide on how much he wants to charge. In most cases, we charge per year. Let me speak personally. My service charge is per year as well. So if, for instance, the person is having about 20 years, that is the trap I'm trying as much as possible to educate people to avoid. Don't wait for it to pile up, because when you pile it up, it becomes much. You see companies that have stayed 10 years, 15 years, they've not filed annual returns. It's only when something important comes up that they now, oh, final annual returns is something we need to do. They start scampering here and there to look for a service provider to help them. By the time they do the calculation, for instance, if you are doing the calculation for close to about 20 years, if you include service charge, if you include my service charge, for instance, that person might be paying as much as 400,000 to have that company reactivated. Might be paying as much as 400,000. So it is very, very important to not pile up the thing. So I believe I answered your question, sir.
Okay, yeah, you did. Yeah, you did. So, but this thing they say, a company that starts at, is it that when a company starts, I thought there's a grace of a year or two. I can't remember.
Yes. That is why I said it depends on there's a way it's calculated. I think for companies, you're given 18 months.
Okay.
You're given about 18 months. So when we do the consult, when our clients reach out to us, we help them to do that calculation. We even have situations where some clients reach out to us and we tell them that you are not due for payment yet. You are not due for payment, because if you are not due, you are not due. You are not due. You can't force force the business to be due for payment. So we do the calculations and we get back.
Okay. When you say service provider, what do you mean?
Okay, like for instance,
The agents that help,
yes,
or the lawyer?
the accredited agents. You know, the CAC, when you do talk about CAC business, CAC registration, we have access to the public, then we have access to accredited agents. You understand? So it's the service providers mostly that can help. You cannot on your own decide to file annual returns.
Or you cannot go to a CAC to file your returns.
No, everything is done online now. So you don't go to CAC anymore.
Yeah,
Everything is
but all
done
I'm saying
online.
is that people can do that by themselves online, isn't it?
No, they can't. What you can do by yourself as an individual, as an ordinary individual, is to register your business. You can do that by yourself on the public portal. But on the accredited agent portal is where they have the privilege, accredited agents have the privilege to provide the service of post-incorporation service. That is every service that is done after the registration has been finalized. Filing of annual returns inclusive. So an ordinary individual cannot just decide that, oh, I want to file my annual returns, then just goes on CAC website and start filing. No. So he has to reach out to a service provider like us.
Okay. Very well explained. Thank you so much, Onos, for that. I don't know. There are no other questions I'm seeing in the comment section. Guys, if you
Okay.
got questions, please drop. He has about 10 more minutes to go. If there are other questions you want to ask him, please ask him now.
Okay, let me add something, Don, if I might, if time will permit.
Yeah, go ahead.
network.
Yes, go ahead, please. Go ahead.
Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. Solo, go ahead. I
Can you
can
hear
hear
me?
you. Go ahead.
Okay, okay. I was saying something about the integrity of businesses. You see, most times, well, I don't know whether I should call it hypocrisy. Many of us in this part tend to be very hypocritical in our dealings. You see a business that knows quite all right that this filing of annual return stuff is demanded by the law. And the business is also trying to, let me use the word, preach to the public that they are a business that hold values to high esteem. They are a business that stand for excellence. They are a business that stand for obedience to the law and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, when a search is done on them on the CAC portal, you discover that they've been existing for years and they've not filed annual returns. And they feel it doesn't matter. That is why I see that the CAC is trying to hit the hammer hard on many businesses now. Because if you ask me, the CAC has done, in fact, they've been magnanimous. They've been magnanimous in this aspect. Filing of annual returns is not just a legal demand, it is something that is needed. It's something that is needed. It's like the CAC having an opportunity to update the records and the existence of these businesses, to validate the existence and the operation of such organizations or entity. Take, for instance, you see charities or orphanage homes or foundations, many of them today used for all manner of shady things. If you have situations where all the details and details of expenditures and stuff like that are duly itemized and processed during the filing of annual returns, is an opportunity to check some of these things. As a matter of fact, I think somebody reached out to me, and because he had a shady plan in mind, by the time I told him of all this registering CAC and the need for filing annual returns, he drew back. That goes to tell you that filing of annual returns, registration of businesses with CAC is actually for businesses that believe that they have integrity and they have integrity to maintain. That is why, again, I'm surprised that some organizations, including religious organizations, although many of them are not aware, they are not aware. But those that are aware still shy away from it. I want to repeat that organization I talked about earlier. 1945 was when that church, I think the name of the church is Faith Tabernacle Congregation. 1945, that church was registered. Anybody can do a search on them. 1945 until date, they have filed their annual returns to date. If you do a search on them now, on the CAC portal, you will discover that they are active. So if an organization, a religious organization that is not profit making, are faithful enough to file their annual returns, come on. What about businesses and organizations that are making profits, or even on a second or per minute basis? So it's something that is important that we should do. It is mandatory. It is something that is an obligation as patriotic citizens of Nigeria and as good business persons as well. So thank you, Don. I'm excited to have had this opportunity to talk on this topic.
Hey, thank you so much. There are some questions that have come in, so let me put the questions for you.
Okay,
Somebody
sir.
is asking, like, how much do you charge for your services per year?
Okay. Uh, it depends. It depends. It's not fixed. It's not fixed. Why I said it's not fixed is the charges per year might need to be stepped down if the numbers of years involved is much. So what I would say is If you are interested, reach out to us on through a DM. Send us a DM. We can discuss the service charge. At least I've disclosed to you what is paid to the CAC. So the service charge is something that can be discussed and negotiated. For instance, a company that is having a default of 20 years, I would not charge per year the same thing like charging a company that has a default of 2 years. So send us a DM, we'll discuss it. Let me also add, we have what we call an accountability group, because just as I mentioned in the session, sometimes people are ignorant that this thing exists, and that is why they fail to file their annual returns. And in other instances, you have situations where people forget. They just forget totally that, yeah, there's something called annual return. It's something that is demanded. I'm supposed to do it. They just forget until it becomes, let me use the word, super important or super demanded by an authority somewhere. So we have a group where we get the information of prospective clients and we discuss with them one-on-one. The consultation is free. We discuss with them one-on-one because we know that different businesses were registered at different times and their due dates will also be different. So we discuss one-on-one with our prospective clients and we help to draw a timeline or a time plan for them to act, to see to it that their payment for the annual returns is done before the due date so that they don't default. So you can reach out to us on our WhatsApp number. You reach out to us, we have that discussion. You join the group and we become like an accountability partner with your business or organization to ensure that you pay your annual returns as at when due and you avoid the cost of piling up debt.
Okay, somebody's asking how much is annual return for sole proprietorship?
Okay, for sole proprietorship, that is enterprise. Enterprise. CAC, the charge to CAC is 3,000. If I add some charges, that's just approximately 4,000 naira without default. If you have not defaulted, once you default, it attracts an extra fine of 5,000. So if you've been defaulting per year, you'll be able to pay about 9,000 naira, excluding the service charge. Excluding the service charge. I hope I answered that question.
Okay, yes. Um, Emily asking for a church that was registered in 2011, what are they expected to pay? Service charge included.
uh, for churches, we'll have to discuss. Another reason why we have to discuss is this. We'll have to have a one-on-one consultation on that. Another reason is this. Churches fall under incorporated trustees. The procedure for filing annual returns for incorporated trustees is different from filing the annual returns of a company and the business name, that is enterprise. It takes in some extra demands. So I cannot say now. I cannot say exactly now how much it will be with my service charge inclusive, but I can assure you this: it will be something that we can find the middle ground. I'm open to negotiations, so don't be scared about it. Just send a DM, send us a DM, then we'll get talking and we'll find a way. I am interested in seeing thousands, not hundreds. I'm interested in seeing thousands of business owners, organizations, founders have that inactive status on their CAC portal changed to active. I'm committed to that. So don't be scared about service charge. Just let's get talking. Then we'll find a way forward. The fact that you've registered with CAC already shows that you have something at stake. So you won't want to throw it away. There are some business organizations right now that they might need to change their business brand if they don't have the money to pay for filing of annual returns. Because when they get the charge and they say, this amount, what's the way out? Especially when the money is not there. So I'm interested, especially those that their years are not too far flung. Like for instance, 2011 is not too far. You can give us a DM, we'll discuss it, we'll do the calculations, and we'll find I'll tell the service charge. We'll see how we can negotiate around something that can be affordable to you. Let me also add, for those that followed this live stream session, if I'm going to make an offer, if you are on this live stream session and you have registered your business and you have not defaulted, your business is registered, that is, you've not defaulted, meaning that your business was registered like last between 2021, yes, between 2020, ending of 2020 and 2021, you've not defaulted. The next payment, which is to be due, if you send us a DM that you followed on this live stream, and to validate that you followed on the live stream, please, you have to make a comment. You have to make a comment on the live stream. You follow us, you send us a DM, sorry, we'll follow up on you, and there will be no service charge for that year. That's the offer I'm making for those that participated on this live stream. There will be no service charge. I won't take any amount for the service charge for this year. So let me make that clear. You will only be paying what CAC demands. That's what I'm saying. You will only be paying what CAC demands.
Okay, so this guy is asking, I have tried registering our business sometime last year, but failed on several occasions. They exactly don't say what I entered wrongly. But is there a general guideline, do's and don'ts for registering a business name?
Okay, it reminds me of how I started this CAC registration business. I wanted to start a business to sell some stuff on Konga.com. I think, yeah, Konga, one of those online shops. So they required me to produce a registered business. So I went online and I saw that it was open to the public, and I started. I got stuck the way Mr. Sam got stuck, and I knew that something was wrong. And in fact, I just neglected the whole thing. So it was years later, I think 2 years later, that this idea came. I saw that there was a problem. The fact that I was facing a problem, I did some research and discovered that many other persons were facing that problem, and I had to go for some training. And as I said, we have a team of accredited agents that I work with. So this thing is not the expertise of these registration providers. It's not something that every member of the public can have. That's the truth. So yes, there are guidelines, there are do's and don'ts when registering a business name, but I can't start listing out all the do's and don'ts. As a matter of fact, as an experienced person in the field, there are even some things that I learned on the job. So sometimes I usually advise, in spite of the fact that it is open to the public, because when people say it's open to the public, why are you charging, or why are people charging for stuff like that? It's because there are do's and don'ts that you, the ordinary man in the public, might not be aware of. And there are even some persons that claim to be service providers that also get stuck. Because just as you know, in every profession, you will always have quacks, you understand? So, Mr. Sam, there are do's and don'ts that guide registration of businesses. That is why sometimes it's advisable to meet with a service provider, meet with an accredited agent that has the knowledge and expertise on such registration. So you could send me a DM. Let's get talking and see how we could facilitate the registration that got stuck. Let's see whether we could we could unwrangle it from where it got stuck and get your business registered. Thank you.
Okay, so one person is asking for a business that was registered without any reasonable financial profit. That is, the person registered the business just to preserve the name. What happened?
Okay, same thing happens. Filing of annual returns is still mandatory and demanded from the business. Now, let me give you an example. If you rent a store in a plaza to run a business, and for some reasons, you failed to open that store, and the first year, the 1 year payment you made elapses, do you think the landlord will say, oh, because you didn't open the store, you did not do business for that year? Don't worry, just continue. No. You will still need to pay the new rent. So what I'm trying to say is the same thing with CAC. The fact that you saved the name and you didn't do anything be profitable, you still have to file annual returns. However, when the demands, because there are some documents that will be demanded or some requirements that will be made when the annual returns will be filed. There is no sin to declare that you've not made profit. You are simply declaring the facts as they are. So whether you operated or not, you still have to file your annual returns, because that is what tells CAC that you are still interested in having your business on the CAC register. And even if you did not operate for that year, you are still able and ready to operate in the years ahead or in the time you have ahead. So for such businesses, you still have to file your annual returns. It's still demanded for you to file your annual returns. I hope I answered you, ma'am Emily.
Yeah. Okay. Somebody asked, how can we get access to you guys who are accredited agents if one is not living in if one is living in different states?
Okay. The beauty of CAC, the beauty of CAC, especially in this time, is that most of the processes of CAC registration, if you want to register a business, you want to register a company, you want to register a church, an organization, if you want to do any of these post-incorporation services like filing of annual returns, you don't need to come to an office. You don't need to come to an office. Everything can be done online. Let me scratch that. Everything is done online. Everything is done online. If you are to register a fresh business today, CAC would issue you an e-certificate. They are not sending you a hard copy. So almost every other thing, just a very few things left now, just a very few things left, but almost every other thing is done online. Filing of annual returns inclusive. So if you want to file your annual returns, you don't need to come to my state. As a matter of fact, as I said, the beauty of CAC, I myself am resided in Delta State. I have clients all over the country, all over the country. Although I think the last client I serviced, I filed her annual returns. I filed the annual returns for the company is in Nasarawa State. Nasarawa State. That was the last client I filed annual returns. We've not seen. In fact, I don't know the face. I only know the face of the person because I had to see the passport photograph on the document. So, and everything went smoothly. The annual returns were filed, the penalties were paid, the active status the inactive status was returned to active on the CAC portal. So you do not need to come to our office physically. All you need is send us a DM. Let's discuss at what point your business is and what we can do to get your filing of annual returns on the way. And if it's a business that has an inactive status, we see how we can reactivate your status on the CAC portal, because it's important. If you have a CAC certificate, you have no business keeping an inactive status on that portal. You've stressed yourself, you've taken up the challenge to register your business. You should not throw it away. You should not throw the privileges and the opportunities that comes with that registration away by failing to file your annual returns. All right, I hope I answered you, sir, Engineer EGK.
Okay, so thank you so much. There are no other questions
Okay.
on this live stream, and people are saying that this has been an eye opener. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank
Solo, I don't
you.
know if you have closing remarks as we
Okay.
begin to wrap down on this conversation.
Okay. My closing remark would be, if you have a business that you've not registered with CAC, you have to do so. Except you don't believe in the vision of your business. You can't claim to start a business, a company, and it's not registered with CAC, and you are claiming to have a big vision to see that business go places. That's not going to happen, because you are just going to be preparing stumbling blocks on your path. So we also offer services of registration of businesses, companies, and we also help in registering churches, organizations, foundations, associations, and such organizations. And let me also say that filing of annual returns is something that is important. Please, please, and please, don't shy away from it. Don't shy away from it. You don't want to have an inactive status with that red flag on your CAC portal, on the CAC portal against your name. You don't want to have that. It's a gamble no business person, no organization should take. It's a gamble nobody should take. So please, let's see to it. Let's do our best. Join your hands with us and help us to get thousands of businesses keep their registration on the CAC portal active. Thank you. And I believe that any other discussions can be furthered through our DM. I think I'll have to drop my contacts, sir.
Yes, you can. Go ahead.
Okay, I'll drop that in the chat section. Okay, I think I've done that. So please, you could also follow and like our page, my page on Facebook, also on Instagram.
I think you
The
dropped.
business.
I think you dropped it in the comment section. You dropped it. You didn't drop into the main section, or
Okay.
okay. So it's showing on the screen right now.
Okay. Okay. All right. So please, I'll be expecting to hear from our smart business owners and organization operators. Let's join hands to see how thousands of business owners can come out of this debt trap. I call it a debt trap. So Don, thank you very much. I'm excited to have had this privilege also.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'm glad and I'm happy that we've been able to do this. God bless you. Thank you to everyone who joined in for this live stream. I do hope that you take advantage and you take advantage of this for your business so that your business can start afloat. Good night, everyone, and God bless you. Thank you, Onos Solo,
Yes,
one more time for this
yes.
conversation. Good
Yes,
night.
yeah, the pleasure was mine.